All right, tell you what, I think we're sizzling this morning. We've got the run sheet working, the cameras are going, the lights are on, Skeeter's here, slightly hungover, but that's okay from a very good cause. Welcome to the Shelter FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. Mark Reddings, Will Scoville, how are you, Skate?
Hello, Scoey. Yes, just always fascinated by the shirts that you wear. Like 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, you were just bobbing around in a West Coast Eagles shirt, and suddenly, just after a 90-point win, flag mantle's back on the front.
You have been doing this with me for over 2 years. Do you think I consider what I wear in the morning? Like I'm a genuine question. Do you think I actually sit down and go, geez, what am I going to wear this morning? Or do you think I stumble into my bedroom, pick the thing that looks the cleanest and put it on my
I reckon
torso?
there's an element of that, but also you just conveniently find time to wear the shirt when the team's going okay. But I like that. You've always been a bit of a bandwagon hopper, and this is another example.
I might be smarter than I look, but I could be dumber than I look. Both goes each ways. ShelterFootyCast.com.au. You can find all of everything we do here at the Shelter FootyCast right there. Our VIP stuff with Scully and Skeeter. You can sign up and support the podcast. Scully tier is just $10 a month. $75 for Skeet. We know he's a premium traveller. We know he likes to sit in business class. You get a carton of Shelter plus all the discounts, all the tickets to all the events. You can jump on and do that. Hey, Skeet, I promoted... hang on. Have we got this right again? What I'm looking at here, Nicholas. Hang on. South Summit. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right to me. Shelter the Storm. South Summit and Death by Denim are back at Shelter the Storm. Now, this is happening, and I told people...
Is this a band or a beer we're talking about?
What's that?
South Summit and what's the other one?
Death by Denim, both bands.
I just thought it might have been new beer that was being released. I had no idea.
Correct. So if you go to the Shelter Brewing website, shelterbrewing.com.au, you can get your tickets there. So those two bands will be playing, South Summit and Death by Denim. Skeet, it's a bit of indie rock, Skeeter. So
indie rock. You like just being slightly left of centre, a bit alternative, put parama.
So we've got DJs, we've got food, we've got beer. Of course, we've got beer. It's at Shelter. Got a little bit of a silent disco later on. I know you like those, Skeeter. So that's all happening down at Shelter the Storm in 2024. It's going to be on the 19th of July from 6 till midnight. We'll kick you out at midnight, Skeeter. Shelterbrewing.com.au for tickets to that one. Okay, Skeeter, let's get into it. Some big stuff happening. Harley Reid, he's done for 2 weeks and he can't win the Rising Star.
Yeah, which was no surprise. We discussed it. He didn't have any success at the tribunal. Was never going to, I don't think, never going to get off, but I thought it might have got down to one. End of the day, Laura Kane has come out even after to say, look, it's really sad that these blokes aren't eligible, but they're the rules, and Sam Darcy and, of course, Harley find themselves on the outer on that.
So I saw Laura Kane's, very, I like the way she speaks.
Yeah,
she's very honest, matter of fact.
Yep.
But saying they're the rules and they won't change is I'm not going to call her a liar, but they've just changed the interpretation of the holding the ball two weeks ago. So rules can change. And we're seeing more suspensions than ever for things that people have no clarity over. So I'm really strong on this fairest needs to come out of at least the Rising Star. I think we could see it come out of the...
Let me just... Look, it's a good argument to have, but also you talk about some charges leave you eligible, some don't. It's not as simple as saying, well, leave the fairest out of it.
Can I give you a why?
Yeah.
Best and fairest at every club.
Yep.
You can win it if you get suspended. And it's called the best and fairest.
But that's why the Brownlow over
that's
the
fine. So leave the Brownlow. Leave the Brownlow as it is. The Rising Star started 30 years ago when players weren't getting suspended for dangerous tackles.
Yes.
The players weren't getting suspended for innocuous bumps that are football actions. We weren't seeing that. And so to take the best player in the competition, first-year player in the competition or young player in the competition, take it off them for an action that we haven't seen in our game for 30 years, Skeeter. It's only the last 2 years that we've seen it, so why can't we change it?
Because, unfortunately, that's the way the game is going. So you're saying leave the Harley Reid case to one side.
Sam Darcy.
Yeah. Is he eligible or not?
I think he should be, yeah.
Okay, so if it was a Jimmy Webster type action pre-season, does that stay eligible if you're the player that the Rising Star who does that?
If you can get enough votes without while missing 7 weeks, which is what Jimmy Webster is.
So I thought your argument was based on the severity and whether they should be...
Take the fairest element of it.
You get
best first
10
year player.
weeks?
Best first year player. That's it. I think that's what it should be. Well, I don't think the first year player should... Brownlow medal, fair enough. As a 8-year veteran of the game, when you win a Brownlow medal, you know that if you get suspended, you're done.
Yep.
First-year player, if you get suspended for something that you haven't seen that action before, and then we're going to award this award to not the best first-year player. Like, the best first-year player isn't going to win this award.
And let me paint the most negative scenario in that situation. Say Harley Reid punches a bloke and cops a month, for instance, for argument's sake. Then at the end of the year, we're celebrating his year, but there is that element there. I'm painting the worst case scenario. I do hear you, but you don't want a bloke committing an act that you think, gee, he's missed a bit of footy over this. He's had such a good year. Look, I do take your argument on board. I just don't think it's going to change in the short term, because put it this way, this time last year you weren't arguing for it, because obviously there wasn't the Harley Reid Sam Darcy case at play. So maybe it's just highly unusual that we get two in the one week, really.
So if Harley Reid punches someone, that's a good example, because it makes me question it.
Yeah.
He could still win the best and fairest for West Coast.
Yes.
So would you question that?
No, but that's a club. Now, does every club have that in play?
Yeah.
They probably do. Yeah. But I think that makes it different, particularly the Brownlow. The Rising Star, I can see your argument. I just don't think they're going to go down that path.
Very good. I think, for what it's worth, West Coast butchered their defence a little bit. I didn't hear one bit, and I followed it pretty closely. It was on radio that night, so I was sort of giving updates the whole way. They didn't mention the boundary line once. So in that particular play with Harley Reid, right, Darcy Wilson sprinting down the sideline, Harley Reid's coming in from an angle. You are coached, and I guarantee this is still coached at West Coast. Do not let the players step you inside, because behind the footy, if you get stepped inside, it goes from a skinny defence. You know where the ball's going when he's on the boundary. It's going to go near the boundary. He can't kick it across his body past a player inside the ground. As soon as you get stepped, Monday morning, so say he gets stepped, doesn't tackle him, right, as the alternative. Monday morning, Harley Reid, to lead the meeting, midfielders getting stepped, because that's a goal. Can't defend behind it. I didn't hear that at all. And then where he threw him was over the boundary. That's what you're coached to do. I didn't hear anything. I'm not saying that it wasn't a dangerous tackle, Skeeter, but I didn't hear that from a defence point of view. I was very surprised in that, Skeeter. What do you reckon about that? Don't mind it?
No, it's. I mean, you try and throw everything you can at the tribunal in that circumstance. And just a very sidelight issue to that. Just watching one angle of that and seeing there were some spectators just behind. Now, not saying positive or negative, but when one woman goes like this to her, it's not the best advocation for Harley. You know what I'm saying? That sort of reaction. Oh,
it was a physical contest, wasn't it? That's what happens on the football field. So you can't just run around there expecting you're not going to get tackled. Fremantle Dockers, Flagmantle. Let's go. Let's talk about how they are going to win the next flag, Skeeter.
Let's talk about what they're going to do between now and the next game. Is it advantage or disadvantage?
No, let's talk about the Dockers and how they're going to win their next flag. So they win by 100 points at Melbourne. I was asked on TV last night, is that their best win under Justin Longmire? No, it wasn't. We're not impressed by Melbourne, given what we saw against West Coast here and what we've seen against the Dockers in Alice Springs. However, Skeeter, breaking news yesterday, your man, Shai Bolton, coming to Freo. Apparently the Dockers are making a huge play for Richmond Tigers. Not Liam Baker, Shai Bolton. They want him in purple next year. They have 3 first-rounders this year.
Yes.
That they are putting on the table for Shai Bolton. Coming very hard. Your man, Skeeter. Did you not know about this?
No, I was at a funeral yesterday, to be honest, Scully, and I sort of probably wasn't as connected as what I'd like to be.
Perfect.
But it does be, and by the way, it's nice to catch up with people. We had a few shelters just to...
Unreal.
As you do. That's interesting, isn't it? Because you mentioned Shai Bolton, and obviously it's all speculation, unless he's declared his hand, which would never happen this time of the year. But
West Australian?
I think Liam Baker, I think everyone you speak to in footy says that his preference is the Eagles. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure, but that seems to be the word out of Richmond.
He doesn't suit the Dockers, Liam Baker, for mine. I don't think he adds something to the Dockers.
No,
he would add something to West Coast.
Shai Bolton, absolutely to Freo with what they're chasing.
He's your favourite player in the league.
He's one. I just think he plays. He just owns Optus Stadium whenever he comes here.
We might lose Skeeter for a little bit.
No, I do.
Blinds might get shuttered.
Let me throw another name at you. Now, I'm not saying this will happen, but he's out of contract at the end of next year, and there are more murmurings about the future of Charlie Cameron at the Brisbane Lions.
Another West Australian.
Well, yeah, he's been a bit of a journeyman. Obviously, Adelaide, Brisbane, played at Swan Districts.
Who would you like?
He's 29 years of age. He's only kicked 18 goals this year.
So my question off the top.
Yep.
How do Freo win their next flag? Which one of those players helps Fremantle win the flag next season, Shai Bolton or Charlie Cameron? Who would you take? No.
Who do I take?
Get off the fence. Who would you who do you think helps them win it more?
I think Shai's got more versatility in terms of going up the ground.
Younger?
I think he would be. I think Charlie's 29 off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure he is. And Shai, I reckon, would be I reckon he'd be 27.
25.
25, there you go, bang. So
there's your answer.
There's the answer quite clearly. Not saying that Charlie wouldn't be worth looking at if you had the option.
Correct. So Shai Bolton, I think, helps Freo go from where they are now, which is a contender, and they can beat sides, but they don't have the spark. I think they lack the spark.
X factor.
Yeah.
They don't have an X factor player. I mean, am I missing someone at their club?
Well, Michael Walters was.
Yeah. And Sonny, look, he becomes an addition if he's next year, if that's the case.
Jordan Clark's elevating himself to someone that can provide aggressive ball movement, but he's playing on the back flank.
But yeah, and let's be honest, Shai Bolton, compared to any of the names we're talking about there, at his best. And you know what? The only thing I'm wary of, Scully, is if you are going to bring a player of any ilk to the club and they've had premiership success, you want to forensically check that they have got not coming back to just be with family, take the big money. Yep. They want in their gut to be part of something. In your case, you're talking Fremantle.
Flagmantle.
Absolutely. They want to be 100% invested. And so I'm sure those in place will make sure those questions are asked.
I think what's very clear, Skeeter, is Freo are going to move at least two of these 3 first rounders. Two first rounders gets that done, by the way. You don't need anything more than that.
No, and that's you try and do it for less than that. But
correct. I mean, which makes sense, right? Freo, where they are right now, they don't need to go and take 3 players in the first round. No. And it's a weaker draft.
Yes,
apparently.
Yep.
So I think all of those signs point to they've looked around the competition. Probably West Australian talent.
Bo Allen's probably the guy that stands out, and he didn't play in the first 18s game. But out of everything you said there, and look, having the 3 first-round picks next year, and hopefully playing finals as well this year, whether they can go deep or not remains to be seen. But I think you're right. I think they can afford to look at getting that bit of special talent to the club.
So there we go, Freo fans. I think that's a very good move. I think he's the highest talent West Australian playing football right now. So that's what they've looked at, I think. They've gone, we've got 2 first-rounders to go and get someone. Who can we get? I don't think there's anyone more talented that's from Western Australia playing in another club right now.
Talented. This way, are you putting Shai Bolton opposed to Chad Warner, for instance? I thought I'd have you there, Scully.
Good.
As you keep going, he might be the most talented Shai. But if you had the choice between the two, who are you taking? That's a conundrum. I mean, I think Warner. I'm taking Warner because of his age. I don't think he's under. He'd be 22, maybe 23.
I'm taking Warner. In terms of if I'm Fremantle, I'm taking Shai Bolton. I think from team balance and what he would add both in front of the footy and coming through the midfield, I think Shai Bolton's still the guy. I think it's brilliant.
It's a win-win if you can extract either or one of them.
All right, Skeeter, it is this time of the year. We are halfway through the year, and I thought, what better way to celebrate that than to both put an all-Australian team together? Now, you were...
otherwise engaged yesterday. My mate's dad's funeral yesterday, so we were... it's a long stint on a Wednesday from 11:30 to about 9.
Well, you never miss a wake. That is a rule to live by.
Yes.
So, in light of only one all-Australian team being put together, you're going to be on the your chairman of selectors here.
I'm going to guide, or at least have a say in what you put together.
I wouldn't guide. I'd pick me apart. I would pick me apart. And I think I've probably got some selections here that you'll be able to pick apart, Skeeter. So, Will Schofield's All-Australian team for 2024... Will Schofield's All-Australian team for midway through the 2024 season. So, they have just met the All-Australian Committee.
They have.
Glenn Jakovic was on air talking about that last week with us.
Yes.
So, this will exist, right?
There's a squad out there in secrecy.
Yeah, this does exist. Jacko was pretty heavy on Freo players when we were talking to him.
I think he threw quite a few names out there, or a few numbers anyway.
I think the hardest line is the back line. I think there's a lot of unlucky players that'll miss out here. But my All-Australian back line at the moment, Skeeter, Luke Ryan in the back pocket. I think he's elevated his game again this year. And I think he's been outstanding. Fremantle, very hard to score against, and he plays a big part in that. Alex Pearce alongside him, his teammate, fullback.
What? Just sounding very... I mean, there are 18 clubs in the competition and going pretty well, but keep going.
Sam Collins, I think he's taken a leap over the last 6 weeks. keeping players to minimal goals. And he is just your dour, lock him on someone. I have tried to pick players in position as well.
Which is that's a marked difference to sometimes how we find them on.
So I'm not going to put my man Nick Blakey, who's on a back flank. I'm not going to put him in the back pocket. You're not going to find him in the back pocket. So Nick Blakey is on my half back flank.
Good, you can see you've got the best team in the comp at the moment. They've got them represented in their back half.
I can't get the whole fucking back line in there, Skeeter. Just hang on. I haven't read my whole team out. Jeremy McGovern at centre half back. Jeremy McGovern at centre half back. And Max Holmes from the Cats on the other back flank. No, he's been playing through the midfield, but he started the season as a backman, and I've just scraped him in there because if I try to put him in the midfield, I can't get him in, and I think he deserves to be in the side. So that's my back line. Ryan, Pearce, Collins, Blakey, McGovern, Holmes. Condolences and thoughts are with Harris Andrews, Sam Taylor. So Sam Taylor and McGovern were the ones I was weighing up for.
I was about to ask that. Who was the other name?
Sam Taylor was first out, so he'd be my 7th defender right now, but he hasn't made the bench. And I've got Tom Barras as someone who I'd just like to send my condolences to. Not necessarily for leaving him out of this, but because he plays for West Coast. If he was in a good side, if he played for Sydney, which we can recall he did have a very big opportunity to go and do last year, he would be the All-Australian fullback. No doubt about it. He plays for West Coast. They have too many inside 50s to defend, and he's just constantly fighting tooth and nail to even be in a contest with his man. So I just wanted to put that out there, Skeeter. But that's my back line. What did you think? She's got of the WA clubs, you've got 2 Fremantle Dockers. I think the Luke Ryan one will be up for debate more so than Pearce. Correct.
On the basis of the roles they play. And look, Alex Pearce deserves to be, if not a lock at the moment. He's, as you say, does Sam Taylor normally play deeper though, like as more a
probably?
Yeah. So there's a couple of tweaks there, but no, by and large, the Max Holmes one I must admit I wouldn't have thought of, but it's.
I just wanted him in the side, so he is one that is he in position, maybe not, but what he's doing right now for Geelong, he's one of the best players in the comp, so you have to have him in there.
So Gov, now you've been strong on him all year, and I know he's been in really good form. Adam Simpson's actually said he should be in All-Australian contention. Yeah, it's
the intercept possession game that he plays and the ability to win contests has him in my side. That's pretty much what I look at.
And it's just me, just because people say, old teammate of his, you're looking through eagle eyes there.
No,
but you're comfortable that this is one of the better seasons he's had.
This is his best season of AFL he's had, and he's been 4-time All-Australian.
Wow,
I'm happy to say that. Let's keep moving, Skeeter. The midfield, I've got Errol Goulden. I think he's the best winger in the competition. Nick Dacos is in the centre, but he could be ruck rover or rover, wherever you like. I've got Zach Merritt on the other wing. Now, I know he's been playing inside. Josh Dacos could be one you could throw out as a pure winger. But Zach Merritt, I'm pretty comfortable having that midfield through there. Now, I'll give you the rest of my mids so you can sort of see who's actually across there. Max Gawn's my ruckman. Isaac Heaney is my number 1 on baller. And Chad Warner is the number 2 guy. So it's Heaney, Warner, and Dacos in the middle. There's some condolences there, of course. I've got Bont on the bench. I don't think he's been at his very best. I think he'll be I think he could be in the midfield by the end of the year. I think he's building.
I think the All-Australian selectors will have him in there at some.
Well, he's one of the best players in the competition. Yes. You just see what he does. I think others have been stronger.
Well, you can't ignore what Sydney's done, and most of their stuff in the midfields come from
those two.
Yeah,
and Errol Goulden as well. So I've got 3 Sydney players across the midfield. But Sydney's that far in front of the rest of the competition. I think that's fine. So that's 4 Sydney players so far with Nick Blakey in the back line. Caleb Sarong I've got on the bench. I think his season. So I'm just talking about the midfield here. So I've got Caleb Sarong, Bont, Heaney, Warner, Dacos, Merritt, Goulden as my midfielders in the side.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of other mids that might...
Difficult.
I mean...
In terms of stats...
How good's Paddy Cripps' year been? Has it been...
I don't think good enough to be in front of those.
In front of the Sydney guys, I can't see that being an argument. We look at Melbourne, what they've done, Petrarca and...
So clearances, Caleb Sarong leads the league in clearances, 93, so he has to be in it. Nick Dacos is behind him. Matt Rowell is up there.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Paddy Cripps is 15 behind all of those guys. So I just don't think Patrick Cripps has had a good enough year. Matt Rowell's had tackles and clearances. He could be a bit of a rogue one you could throw around there. And disposals, if you want to call that. Adam Treloar's leading the competition average. He's averaging 33 touches a game. But I don't have him in
Well, you're
that
not going to
midfield.
put. I don't think you're going to put him above the names you've suggested. So I wish I could rip you to shreds, but I can't on that basis.
The one that's missing there, Skeeter, I think, and someone who will be in the side by the end of the year is Sam Walsh.
Just building after, obviously missing the first part of the season.
He'll be in the squad.
The reason Carlton are winning matches,
Yes.
not entirely, but largely because of what he's doing. I agree.
Let's go to the forward line. This one was difficult. This one was difficult because I think back line you're going to miss a few forwards. I didn't have a forward flank. I had to look sort of far and wide, but this is what I've gone with. Skeeter. Christian Petrarca has been spending a fair bit of time forward, so I think you'd have him as a really dangerous forward matchup there. Got Charlie Curnow at centre half forward. He is on track for his third Coleman medal, and he is an absolute lock in this side. I'll come back to that half forward flank spot because I've left it blank. I do have someone there. Jake Waterman's in my side.
No, I was about to say, he's the one that...
For the halfway point of the season.
Absolutely.
Now, he's missed one with a shoulder, he missed two with a hammy, but other than that, he's been probably the hottest forward in the competition.
He's a different style. If you're trying to pick a side with a couple of different tricks, a different style of forward than maybe some of the others.
Jesse Hogan at full forward. What do you think of that?
Don't mind it. What's he kicked?
So he's kicked 31 goals.
Yeah,
so
31.
Charlie Kearney 36. Ben King's kicked 36, and I don't have him in my squad. He's my first forward that would come in, probably replacing either Hogan or Waterman. So the goals are 36 to Curnow, 36 to King, 31 to Hogan, 30 to Waterman, and there's another player at 28, which is a consideration for mine. And then I've got Isaac Rankin was an absolute lock for mine. Like he's one of the best kicks in the competition. Dangerous what he's doing with the ball. He's in the side. So the half forward flank, I've got Kyle Langford from Essendon. I think given they're second on the ladder, you got Zach Merritt in the side.
Is that slightly out of position for him? As in
no. I mean, he plays a little bit deeper, but
yeah,
but he kicked 28 goals, so he's fifth in the Coleman at the moment.
And he's good. I mean, I know he missed a goal late against Collingwood Anzac Day, but he by and large,
goal kicking forward.
Gets the ball, he kicks a goal.
Goal kicking forward. I think with him in that side though, it's a tall forward line, so I'd probably like to look at others, but couldn't come up with them. On my bench, Skeeter, as we mentioned, Bontempelli, Sarong. I've got Dan Houston because his ability to play back but mid as well. He's the best kick in the competition at the moment. If you look at Champion Data Stats, he is the number one kick in the comp. So that for me gets you All-Australian Blazer. And I've got making up the final 22. I haven't put a sub either, but in the 22, Nick Martin from Essendon. I really wanted to reward how Essendon's played. They're the second on the ladder. Merritt was in there, and it's like, well, who are the next best couple of players? And for mine, it's Langford and Martin. So Nick Martin goes in there because he can play across all three lines as well. So it gives me some flexibility on the bench, Skate.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look, I haven't looked at it closely enough, but the Dan Houston one, I'm sure you could make an argument for another 4 or 5 players for all those interchange positions. As you said, Sarong, Bontempelli, just given what they've done, what the numbers you've trotted out there, yeah, I think there's probably an argument against Martin and against Houston. But this is your All-Australian side, and it's not mine.
I think Dane Zorko's pretty unlucky. I think he's had a pretty good year doing what he's doing in the back line, but I wouldn't have him in mine at the moment.
Do you wait, just in brief, do you wait the decision in part on how their team is going as well? I mean, obviously you've got 3 West Coast Eagles two in the side, and obviously an apology to Barras. But does that play any? I mean, Sydney, you have to reward teams that.
It's lucky we didn't put Harley Reid in there. I tell you what.
No, he was not going to be in there.
All right, how'd I do? Let me know. Love to hear your feedback. You can give that at Shelter on Instagram, Shelter FootyCast, of course, or just send us an email, footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shelter FootyCast. All right, Skate, let's get into the games. Let's start with the West Coast Eagles because Fremantle have the bye.
That's correct. They're not playing.
Well, news to me.
That's why we did the All-Australian team, I would have thought. Scally, just to broaden out the conversation.
Just having a look for Freo. I was going to start with Freo and then realise they're not playing. Well, that's probably a well-earned rest.
What do you do, seriously, on a little breather? Some blokes have been known to go, not to Bali, but Jordan De Goey has. Yes. But what do you do? Would you actually get away, or you just pretty much just hang around the house? Or
So usually you get a break straight after the game. So they would have had, I think, from the Alice Springs game
Sunday
for like 4
that,
days.
Yep.
And then you'll get, rather than training for a week and then having a break in the middle. So clubs usually try to get a 4-day break in for the players. Don't come to the club. Don't do anything.
So this weekend they'll be back at the club?
Yeah, so I reckon maybe down south you would have found a few boys. I don't think, but they were at Alice Springs, so maybe they just continued
They could have.
north.
But put it this way, if you've got a player from Melbourne...
Yep. No, some would have gone. Yep. Some could have, definitely. So that's a well-earned rest for them, and doing pretty well, the Dockers, as they sit for 6th on the ladder. I think you'd probably take that from a Freo Dockers perspective. West Coast v North Melbourne. Clash of the Titans. 16th v 18th, Optus Stadium, Saturday Arvo.
Raining.
Is it?
Reunion of the 94 Premiership team for the Eagles. It's going to be big. They're having a lunch on Friday, which is tomorrow. There's only Shane Bolton that's the only player that's not turning up. But yeah, it should be a big day. They've got a big day tomorrow. They've got lunch, then they've got a cocktail party. They'll be talking Swahili by about 8 o'clock. But yeah, that'll be part of the day. And the Eagles have confirmed that they've got a debutant, the 5th of the season.
Yes, your man Jack Hutchinson.
Jack Hutchinson. You know what his nickname is?
I'm assuming Hutchie.
Hutchie, yeah. And so they all applauded that.
Starsky would be good.
Yeah, exactly. So he, of course, came from 22 years of age, 190 centimetres, played for the Eagles after being taken at pick 3, 5 goals against Perth at the weekend. Gets his chance. We did forecast that on Monday. What the hell are you drafting him for? And he plays well if you don't reward him. So I think it's great. It puts a bit of pressure on a few blokes. The Ryan Marricks and guys like Jack Williams, who we do like. But if you don't perform, that's the beauty of having someone come in who's looks like he's in pretty good nick.
The other decision that they've got to make, if they do drop a forward for Jack Hutchinson, which you'd have to say they will, Harley Reid out for 2 weeks. Who comes in and replaces him? You saw the game on the weekend. I think it's between Jai Cully and Clay Hall. I've been a big Clay Hall guy on the podcast, haven't I? I've been calling for him to be in the side. Who played better out of those two? So to give you the stats, Jai Cully had 30 disposals, 12 inside 50s and a goal. And Clay Hall had 30 disposals, 5 tackles and a bit more inside clearance work.
I don't know the stats. I think I'm a big fan of Clay Hall, who's still got the handguard on after obviously an injury a few weeks ago. I thought Cully was... What I saw from Cully, I'm not saying Hall's on a big body, but I thought Cully showed me there's a couple of times the lateral movement, he kicked a goal, and I thought, wow, that's too good for Waffle. Right. So I think that's Cully ahead of him.
Yep, that's good to hear. There you go. Mark Reddings has Jai Cully in the side. Tim Kelly probably unlikely to come back into this side where Jake Waterman...
Well, Kelly's been ruled out.
Okay, well, that probably means he's unlikely to come back.
I was the one at a funeral.
Far out. Seriously, Skeeter. Sometimes you make me look like an absolute idiot, which I am. Jake Waterman... He's definitely a chance. He dislocated his shoulder in effectively a pretty innocuous moment at training last week before the game. He tried to play, couldn't lift his arm up. They're going to try him again, but as we spoke about Monday, it's going to be risky all year. So they're just going to. I think they're going to have to go with him and figure out, see if it works or not. It's not going to be good for his contested mark game at all, though. But he's a big in for them because the best defender's probably going to go to him.
So does that get out the word how he injured himself, and it's just Nick trying to leave,
restart the plane.
Got his car keys ready to go.
You should see how big the bundle of keys Nick follows. Does that surprise you? He has a bundle of keys that he literally could open the gates to hell with. Like it sounds like they're big.
I've got one key. That's to get in my house.
I have none. I have none.
You know, he climbs through a window to get in the house. We're talking about Jake Waterman. Yes. I was about to ask you, would opposition clubs now know what and how he did it, and is that a target?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but it
restricts him.
Every team knows how every player goes about it, and Charlie Curnow, everyone knows how he plays footy. Yeah. Doesn't mean he can't stop.
No, but when you've got that dodgy shoulder, perhaps Jake himself might not be able to be.
I'd certainly, if I was playing against Jake this weekend, I'd be testing him out physically. Yeah, absolutely. You don't get anything easy in this. Well, at least you shouldn't. And I could be a bit old school here, Skate, but I think maybe players have started looking after each other a little bit more. Like, you'd be going down and smashing into his shoulder, wouldn't you? I certainly would be. An absolute hero that I am. Jai Simpkin, he has been cleared to come back, same as Hugh Greenwood. So they'll get a couple of soldiers back here. Colby McKercher, who's been very good. He remains sidelined with his foot. He's in my dream team. I've held on to him, so he's not going to be playing.
The other one's don't think he'll play this week, but who knows? Bryn Teakle, of course, has been taken to the mid-season draft.
Yes,
not sure
again.
Yeah,
Port Adelaide did the same.
Yes. So he's been around the place, and obviously East Fremantle. His form was he's that type of player that I think again a bit like Hutchinson. Yep. North Melbourne will play him sooner rather than later. Well, why get him on your list? if
You're a ruckman, isn't he?
Yeah, a ruckman.
What
Can play a bit forward.
What are they going to do? Play him with Cherry?
Well, I'm not sure.
Cherry's probably the third best ruckman in the comp at the moment.
Yeah, but I still think you can't just leave him. I mean, if Cherry's still playing well in 5 weeks from now, I think you have to give him a game somehow, somewhere.
Do you give North Melbourne any chance of winning this game? They haven't won a game all year.
You have to, because the Eagles were so poor at various stages, even last week. But I actually I wasn't unimpressed with the Eagles' effort last week. I thought it was pretty reasonable. They were just beaten by a side that's slightly better, and you're missing Kelly, missing Waterman, and the Eagles can't afford to be without their best team to be really competitive.
West Coast should win this by a lot.
They should win it, yes.
Like, it's at Optus Stadium, their home deck. They've been difficult to beat here at home. So Essendon by a goal. St Kilda, although they were poor at stages, didn't beat them by too much.
They beat North Melbourne here last year, and they were playing, let's be honest, pretty average footy, a lot worse than we've seen this year at home. So on that basis, and North Melbourne, I don't know what their closest loss has been. Has it been under 5 goals? Am I missing something here?
I didn't know Freo to buy this week, so I certainly don't know North Melbourne's average losing margin.
No, but put it this way. They are getting consistently beaten by 7, 8, 10 goals. So you're right. The Eagles should be winning by 5.
Adelaide v Richmond.
Thursday night footy.
That's a shit game.
It is, but this was preordained at the start of the season. This isn't part of the new fixturing very much. Even at the start of the year, we knew Richmond's going to be pretty average. So I'm not sure how this pans out.
I just have no real interest in either of these sides, Skeeter.
Okay, thank you.
Matty Crouch is out with a shoulder injury. They've got a bunch of debutants. They dropped their ruckman, Adelaide.
But they've also got 4 blokes. I mean, you think of the outs. Taylor Walker's injured. O'Brien's been dropped.
Yeah, they've dropped him.
Matt Crouch is injured, and Braden Cook is injured. And conversely, in for the Tigers, Shai Bolton, Tim Taranto, Dion Prestia, Jacob Kazitsky.
Dusty Martin's out, though.
Dusty Martin, it's one of the funniest descriptions of saying, look, we're resting him so he can play his 300 at the MCG. He's been a bit sick this week.
Yeah, he's sick and tired of the media, and sick and tired of everyone else.
So he was never going to play in Adelaide this Thursday, providing it was game number 300.
Why are people blowing up about that?
What do you mean?
People are saying, he should have to play, he should have to earn his spot, do this and that. I wouldn't have thought so.
You mean I think they're just managing to play at the MCG for his 300. Simple as that.
People aren't happy with that.
Why?
I don't know. I have no problem whatsoever. 300 games are one of the worst sides in the competition. Why would you roll him out in? Where is this game? In Adelaide.
Adelaide tonight.
So, why would you play Dusty Martin there?
No, I've got no. Okay, well, if they were on the edge of the 8 and contending, what do you do then? With Dusty. No, it just becomes
up to him.
Becomes a bit more problematical, doesn't it?
Up to him.
If you're a top 4 side.
That's why it doesn't matter right now.
No, 100% with you.
Who are we picking? I'm not going to pick
Adelaide. Yeah. But, my Thursday night form's been...
I'll pick Adelaide, and then next week, who are Richmond playing? They will win next
Hawthorn.
week. They will... Oh, shit. They're my team.
Yeah, they are. You've jumped on.
That's not good. That's not good for Hawthorn. Anyway, I'm picking Adelaide as well. Richmond are no good. Western Bulldogs and another ACL, of course. Terrible news. Western Bulldogs v Brisbane. That's a better game. Friday night, Marvel Stadium. That's got a bit of interest in it, even though Brisbane have been underperforming. These two sides, probably I would say the two most underperforming sides this year.
Yeah,
Western Bulldogs sit 11th, Brisbane 13th.
They've got a personality disorder, as like in football terms. Like they're very hard to read. Yeah. They're very strange.
Personality.
Well, this in terms of the way they play,
strange.
They are strange. And the Bulldogs won a game they should have last week against Collingwood.
Yes,
but they're the sleeper, aren't they? Really. They're the team.
Bulldogs, yeah.
I just think
they're
positioned well enough to make a play. I think Brisbane's getting a bit far back in the pack, but even though you still...
No, I'm off Brisbane. I'm off. They're no good, Skeeter. No good.
Okay, so the Doggies...
Couldn't even beat Hawthorn.
But this is a winnable game for Brisbane.
Right.
Because of that sort of side, aren't they? But I just reckon they've lost their edge, and when you've been, and you can speak better to this, when you've been close and that far away, and now it seems like we're going to struggle to make the 8, let alone make an impact, double chance, almost impossible. I just wonder whether that just eats away at you a bit. You think, well, just the motivation levels drop a bit. I think Bulldogs win this, but I've been wrong many times.
Yeah, no, I think Bulldogs win as well. It's really difficult to maintain the rates. Brisbane have been
up there for a long time.
We're talking
4 or 5 years.
Like 2020, they're up there, 21, like they're 22, 23, like that. They have gone to the well many times without that premiership success. And for some, I'm not saying for all, but it's bloody hard. So we've seen what's happened. And
it's like going to work. I mean,
they might be 5% off as well, Scott.
100%, all of those things, but it's like going to work after a while. For 1 week, you might, you don't always have the level of motivation you should. So anyway, that being said,
just
Bulldogs,
like you on breakfast radio this morning, clearly doing the sports news, not talking about the Shai Bolton news. So, anyway, some mornings you wake up and you don't have the motivation to give the people what they need.
I didn't have that news. Is that? It didn't say the paper either.
Widespread. No, don't.
Where was it?
Don't look at
Social
the paper.
media.
It's Xander Maguire dropped it on Channel 9 last night.
Okay, fair enough. No, good. That's Eddie's son. He's going overseas. You know
who?
Xander. He's nicking off to go to a university in the States, just as you do.
I don't quite follow the Maguire's movements. How
Well, Eddie, that's his son.
I know, but I'm just wondering why he's going over to...
Well, just you mentioned his name. So anyway, good story if it's true. If it's not, then it'll be like what we say. It's just Puparama.
Who are picking? Bulldogs. Hawthorn v GWS.
Tough game, Launceston.
In Tassie.
Launceston.
Okay.
Specifically, Launceston's a ground they love.
Right. Sorry, specifically Launceston.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to have to... These are my two sides.
You have to pick Hawthorn.
These are my two sides.
They're basically going to make a run at the flag.
Yeah, but I kind of want GWS to do that too. This is a bloody hard game. I think this is going to be a really interesting game, Skeeter. Lloyd Meek might be back. I think they'll be desperate for him to come back in the side, to be honest. He started this run. His competitiveness in the ruck. Ned Reeves has been in there for the week or so that he's been out for an ankle injury. Nick Watson played in the VFL last week. He had 22 touches, 4 goals, 3. He hasn't looked up to maybe the hype that was on him, and that's not really that fair given he's a young 18-year-old. But I haven't thought, oh, wow, he's incredible. But he's probably one of those players that too good for VFL and gets to the AFL, and it's probably just a step up just at this stage of his career. Stephen Cornelio is out with a shoulder for the next month. They could get back Ward and Callum Brown depending on what happens. Jack Buckley, our man, is still out. They've got some injuries at the moment. The GWS Giants, Isaac Cumming and Josh Kelly's still out as well. So that makes for an even more interesting contest because I think with both sides at full strength, GWS win this.
Yes, which isn't the case. Sam Taylor obviously having re-signed a
7-year deal.
Bumper deal.
We love to see a backman sign a
7 year.
Absolutely.
Really?
Love it.
Why do you have to go 7? Why the number 7? Is there why that long?
I don't know. Probably take him past Tassie.
Get him 5, maybe.
Take him past Tassie. Take him past anyone else's reach.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd put your
if you're a player,
franchise
you'd take
on him.
him.
Yeah, of course you would. But if you're GWS, I mean, you'd be pretty happy locking him away for that long.
But,
close to the best defender in the competition.
He's being given a 7-year as well at Brisbane.
I don't understand that one. Not for midfielders. Doma doesn't.
Yeah. This game's, market has Giants $1.65.
Oh, really?
Which and Hawthorn, but in Launceston, every game down there, they are competitive.
I'm taking Hawthorn, picking them right now.
Okay.
Hawthorn again. They haven't let me down the last couple of weeks, so I'm going to go with Hawthorn.
They've been playing good footy. This shows you where I've been with the bye.
Nowhere.
Did the Giants play Geelong? Was that their last match a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I think they bye last week and Geelong the week before.
Yeah, so I think the Cats were their last game, which of course they won. So signs there, but I'm a bit off the Giants in respects of game against the Bulldogs. We saw things can change. Personnel obviously is part of that. But I'm sort of leaning towards the Hawks as well in Launceston.
Hawthorn are the form side.
Yeah,
but I mean
the quality, the silk is with the Giants.
Yeah, but you can't say that GWS aren't in form. They've beaten Geelong in Geelong their last game. Just been up. I can't help.
Port Adelaide's beaten Geelong. So there are teams. Yeah, it's a difficult game. As we said, I'll go with you. I think Hawthorn.
Perfect. I've sucked you into that one beautifully. St Kilda v Gold Coast Marvel
Tough
Stadium. Oh, not really. I mean, well, yeah, I suppose it is.
Because the Suns are so soft away from home.
You can't pick them, can you? But they should win it.
I have to pick them.
Right.
I can't pick St Kilda.
Okay. Jared Witts is still out with a hamstring injury. So, what is it? Is it Moyle? What's the ruck? Hey, Moyle? Yeah, he looks good. Gold Coast ruckman. I don't mind him. So Witts will still be out. He'll have to do things there. They could get Brad Crouch back into that midfield. St Kilda off a big win here in Western Australia.
Yeah, look, on talent, and this game's on the Gold Coast. We don't even have a discussion about this.
That's a good point.
They just win it.
They have to find a way to win away from home, mate.
Absolutely. That's why I think this is the week against the St Kilda side. Let's be honest, they were good against the Eagles, but the Eagles are what they are. I think if you can get that midfield of Miller and Rowell and Anderson doing his stuff, I think the quality is there for them with King in attack to really to do some damage against the Saints. And it's Marvel. So I know St Kilda play that ground well, but surely, if you're going to play finals Gold Coast, you've got to be winning these games.
They have to outscore St Kilda. Like that. I know that they have to do that to win, but they have to really blow them out of the water with the attacking game. St Kilda don't have that in their suit. Like they ground out the win against West Coast and were tough and hard and all of that in the contest. But I didn't see enough from St Kilda to say that I could pick them this week. I think we're going with Gold Coast with that one. Skeeter. This is probably game of the round, I reckon. Skeet, Sydney v Geelong, SCG Sunday.
There's a couple others. Just maybe just go up the screen a bit. You'll get a couple later in the weekend.
I just figured. There's only 2 teams on the bye. I thought we were almost done. Sydney. Hang on. Sydney. Well, okay.
No, trust me. There's two games that are going to attract a bit more attention than this.
Okay,
trust me.
Okay, I'll just shut the hell up. Sydney, Geelong, SCG. Not sure how many changes we'll have on this one. It's still a way away on the Sunday, but this is first v third. Geelong are third on the ladder.
Are they still third?
Yeah.
How have they done that?
I don't know.
It feels like they've been in a slump for 6 months, but it's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah, correct. I mean, so they sit third, but there's equal points with Port Adelaide and Carlton, and then Freo is half a game back with GWS, Gold Coast, Collingwood, Melbourne, all just 1 game back from them. So
yeah, I can't buy into Geelong. Particularly if Sydney come back with the intensity that we've seen, they're winning this game comfortably.
Sydney are the best out of the competition by a long way. We're both picking Sydney.
Full stop.
Great. Carlton v Essendon, MCG.
Sold out already.
Right. So this is a better game.
Well, I think it's, yes, absolutely.
Melbourne just... Sorry. Carlton Essendon. Did I say Melbourne? I've lost my mind. It probably is. This probably is.
Yeah, we get proof that the Mackay brothers as a duo do exist.
I still think there's going to be a late change in this one. I
saw them together at a press conference this week.
They have a podcast, but it's still sort of
stilted.
I don't know if they've got camera tricks going on. Like they're pretending. I think Michael Voss rang into that program during the week, pretending to be a caller from Carlton or something. Not quite sure what's going on over there, but yeah, I'll reserve my judgment to see if there is actually 2 Mackays or not until I see them on the field. Well, we haven't seen them in 8 years. We don't know.
You sound like a bloody a maggot.
Tinfoiler.
Yeah, like a conspiracy theorist in the United States.
Yep, great.
It was quite nice at the press conference. I think
they do it together.
Yeah, they did.
Jeez,
Harry
people love it.
And Ben were sort of a bit of banter, and Harry said, "Look, there's a chance that you two might line up on each other." And I think Harry said, "Well, Ben, once Charlie kicks 5 on you, maybe you can come and join me."
Harry looks taller than Ben. Yeah. Them standing next to each other. They're not identical heights. Do you think that that's a potential? Like, it's certainly a potential matchup, but would Ben go to Charlie?
Ben go to Charlie, or Ben go to Harry?
Yeah, would Ben go to Charlie?
Charlie Curnow? Yeah, I thought you were saying that the two of them...
Yeah, I'm just saying, would Ben go to Charlie?
Possibly.
Or would Ben go to Harry?
Either or. Yeah, no, Ben, I thought you were saying the twins. They'll find each other at some stage in the match, I would have thought.
Right.
Good game of footy, though. Really good game.
As I said, do you think Ben will go to Charlie?
I have no idea.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anything I'd know.
Well, you think people genuinely tune in for insights into this thing, or just they just like listening to us because we just talk shit to each other? like give me an opinion.
Have you bottled this? Well, I don't know because I don't.
We don't know anything. I don't know anything.
I'm not
asking if you know. I just want to hear you say something. Well, you don't know who's going to win, but I ask you every week who you're picking.
I think Carlton's midfield probably just a shade better.
You don't know though, do you?
Well, I do know their form. Like, they've been a bit more up. Essendon, they were good against the Gold Coast Suns. Could be a huge game.
Essendon, the Collingwood of the last couple of years. Collingwood won a flag now, but they were winning all those close games, and no one wanted to sort of say they were good. Yeah. Is that what Essendon
could
are?
be.
Starting to,
I think because we've been scarred by so many years of them falling away in the back half of a year. But Brad Scott's done a really good job. You mentioned some of the All-Australian contenders. He had 2 in there, but that's probably underselling what the whole group has done together. Yep. So this is a tough game because these two clubs hate each other. And on a Sunday night, sort of King's birthday eve, as I said, sold out.
Why is it Sunday night? Is
because
it a
public holiday, King's birthday eve, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Carlton here, but if you went Essendon, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I'm going to go Carlton with you. Yep. For no good reason other than I rate their forward line a bit more. I think their midfields are pretty similar. Probably
with Walsh. As you say, with Walsh now,
Walsh is humming now.
He's the guy that's really got him moving. So yeah, not underselling the Bombers by any means.
Carlton by 10 goals. Collingwood v Melbourne MCG Monday. This will be the King's birthday clash.
Yes,
is that right?
That's right.
Freeze at the G.
Big freeze. MND. Neil Danaher. Exactly.
That's a good game. Collingwood Melbourne.
Yeah, so you went Sydney Geelong as the match of the round a little bit early, I thought. So this has got a bit hanging on. Melbourne though. This is a question mark against them more so than Collingwood. I think we know what Collingwood brings week in, week out, despite their personnel issues. They haven't lost anyone else, have they, in the last week? To my knowledge, maybe one more.
I don't, as you would say, I don't know, mate. No idea. But they're not going to get Tom Mitchell back.
No.
They may
Tagoe,
get
no.
Hoskin Elliott.
Pendlebury, no.
Maybe. Look, there's a few guys. I think the story more is. It's the injuries of Collingwood, but it's the form of Melbourne.
It's what we see. Even in Collingwood's loss last weekend, we knew they were...
Collingwood are Collingwood.
They're brave.
They are what they are.
Their character is on display each week. You don't get much deviation from that. They're pretty reliable. Melbourne...
To lose a game by 100 points, mate, that is West Coast, North Melbourne, Richmond areas.
Absolutely.
Regardless of who it's against.
But they've got too much quality in that side, you'd think, to dismiss them as not winning this game.
To lose a game by 100, like, you have to get beaten across the board.
Like Adelaide did to the Eagles.
Yeah, correct. At contest, in ball movement, in the way you defend behind the footy, all of it fails, right? Because if just one of those falls down, stoppages, but your backline holds up, you could lose a game by 10 goals.
Yeah.
That's probably... 100 points is...
White flag territory.
See you later. We're done.
Flag's
Get us out of Alice
Yep.
Springs.
Yep.
We've got no interest in being here. So that's a big issue.
But it's also a big weapon for Goodwin if if he can use that as gives him plenty of ammo for Monday, which they'll be competitive.
Well, no, we can't pick him, mate. No, you can't pick him off the back of that performance, can you?
Well, I'll pick Collingwood, but just bear in mind Collingwood's injuries are not insignificant still, and
I think Collingwood
system beats
big game club. Melbourne haven't really proven themselves to be that, have they?
No,
over the last couple of years.
No, they've fallen down in big moments, absolutely.
So, I mean, grand final, you could say differently over here in 2021.
That's 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it is. So, I'm taking Collingwood in this one, Skater.
I don't think we've disagreed on any. I'm tipping the Magpies.
I sucked you into Hawthorn.
You did.
I absolutely sucked you into that.
That's okay. I'm sure you'll text me at 3/4 time if the Giants leading, like Carl Langdon.
Yeah, because they're I can't lose with that game. You understand that? Because GWS win, they're my boys. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shelter FootyCast. Hey, I must say, there's some brilliant emails coming through, Skeeter, at the moment. I know you don't have any idea what goes on there, but FootyCast at backchatstudios.com.au. We see them all. We just don't have time for them all, but there's some absolutely great ones, so keep them coming in, please, because we pick the very best each week. Skeeter.
You mean the best that take the piss out of you or me?
Well, I do always search for those, Skeet, and Nick always puts them in if they do exist. Hey, lads, something I haven't heard spoken about much regarding head knocks are knees to the back of the head during marking contests. The AFL coming down hard on football actions that happen to cause head injuries. Harley looking at a possible suspension. This was obviously written early in the week. A few hours later, a Richmond player drove his knee into the back of a Geelong player's head in a marking contest, didn't take the mark, and gave away the free kick. It's only just happened, but I'd be surprised if anyone speaks about it again after that. If he had taken the mark, it would probably only be spoken about how good the mark was. Is this another example of inconsistency of AFL rules? Why are tackles and bumps so scrutinised, but in marking contests it seems like anything goes? P.S. I'm not saying I want to see players suspended for taking big marks, just seems hypocritical from the AFL, and that's from Luke.
Yeah, no, Luke makes a couple of good points. I think essentially, obviously, the player, providing the player trying to take that mark that knees, if I'm kneeing you in the back of it, providing I'm going for the ball, then most times that's either a free kick or play on. Obviously, if you take the mark, it's paid. I understand the theory behind it. It's a very difficult one to govern out of the game. Players, that's one of the key attributes of our game is the high marks, the spectacular nature of it. And occasionally, you're right, a knee goes into, the back of the scone, which...
Could that be something we look at, that if they don't take the mark, then you're putting yourself liable? Well, it's just the way we're looking at it now is
generally, if you don't take the mark, I'm not saying generally, but often if you don't take the mark or you miss the ball by a metre, they call it it's all termed an unrealistic attempt.
Yeah. So what would fix this, right? And we saw the Harley Reid suspension was action over outcome, which is I've been banging on about. So as much as I carry on, shouldn't have been 2 weeks. At least they penalise the action, right? That sort of tackle had potential to cause significant injury, and so here's your 2 weeks. They just haven't done that consistently, though, because then sometimes, I'll use the example Luke Parker in the VFL. That wasn't a 6-week action, yet the outcome of the broken jaw gives him 6 weeks. Like that is just completely inconsistent. I know it's VFL, but they go by the same rules. And I think at AFL we probably would have seen the same thing. So if we just penalise the action, then no, we shouldn't be giving suspensions for knees in marking contests because that's not an action, deliberate action.
100%. And for instance, you might be kneed in the back of the head. Your opponent takes the footy, the drop doesn't take the mark. I mean,
it's an action.
You're still trying to
action
take the
over
mark.
outcome. I don't know. We could simplify all of this.
I don't think that'll happen, Luke. I think it's a really good suggestion in terms of where we're at, but I'm not sure. I don't think that's the next step. I don't.
This one is from Leith. Thank you very much for the email, Leith. Hi, lads. After Harley Reid's suspension being upheld at the tribunal, I'm thinking the Eagles went about the defence all wrong. Now we're talking, Leith. Charlie got the good guy. Zach Butters got the in Brownlow contention fine. They should have gone with, if Harley's not playing on Saturday, the audience ain't switching over from the Rabbitohs game and are turning it off for the Cowboys game. Now instead of Harley Reid Cup, we get West Coast v Roadkill. Of course, with West Coast playing North Melbourne could have had Harley Reid.
Yes.
Right? So it was going to be the Harley Reid Cup, and Leith thinks that maybe they should have gone with that defence at the tribunal.
Yeah, that's it's a bit left of centre, but I like it. I mean, either watching the Reid boy in action or you're watching Latrell do his stuff for the Rabbitohs. You listen to more evidence than me.
Did you watch the State of Origin?
I did watch part of it, yes.
Enjoy that?
Loved it. Queensland won.
How many have they won in a row now? A lot.
They're looking at their third series
Why
in a row.
is that?
I think they're a more connected group.
The other team had one player down the entire match. That seems like a terrible rule.
Well, no, he was sent off for a high hit. But hang on, and Reece Walsh, the player who was...
Yes, I understand.
No, I don't think it's a terrible rule. I think it's unfortunate. First time it's happened in Origin history, by the way.
So would you like to see that brought into the AFL? 17 v 18?
Well, that's a send-off, isn't it, essentially?
Yeah.
A send-off. I mean, it works in the NRL, whether it would work in the AFL. The only issue, I guess, that we've always argued about is what the umpire might see as being a punch to the back of the head.
So exactly case in point,
NRL. But this was a very different...
Why is it any different? It's the same thing.
I think the argument...
You just backed it in for the NRL.
Last night was a clear case, and I'm not part of the judiciary there or a referee.
But sometimes
rules.
it's not, and they make a decision, right?
But sometimes it also goes up to an arc.
Yeah, so we've got an arc.
Would have to go through that. Well, do we want it? Well, that's been discussed. We can do that maybe in another podcast. I reckon no, leave it as is. Use the suspension.
I think that just ruined the entire game. Queensland could replace Walsh, and they've got a bigger bench in the NRL. How many they got on the bench? 8, 10?
You are missing one thing. They could replace him, but Walsh is close to their best player as well. So it's a pretty big... It's a big penalty for New South Wales. By the same token, you think it should be...
Well, it was game over. It was game over. As soon as that happened, game over.
But that's the fault of Jerome Suarez.
Well, not really. The bloke slipped over. Like you saw him slipping. I know you're a big Queensland man, but I'm very impartial. He was slipping as he tackled.
So no penalty?
No. Off, done for the game, but you can replace him. Well, because the game's over, mate. The game's over in that instant because of a centimetre, 2 centimetres. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think you're big time wrong there. Hello, Skeetons. Hello, Skeetons. Skeeter's got to go and sleep. With all the talk about the fixture, Fremantle played Collingwood on Friday night at Optus on the 24th of May, round 11. Freo's next home game is Sunday, the 23rd of June at Optus, round 15. Includes a bye, of course. As a fan, not seeing my team in the middle of the season for a month is bullshit. Given we already have the 2 weeks in Adelaide and an extra night in Melbourne after the Saints game, it is clear the AFL couldn't give a shit about us or equalisation. I don't hate that comment from Guy.
Sure, there must be other fans.
No, but all he's saying is right now, Fremantle, they won't see them for a month. I looked at the schedule and I thought, I feel like I've called West Coast at Optus the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, okay. Look, the argument is sound, but I don't think it's just a Fremantle Dockers.
You're not going to be able to figure it out in the time of this podcast. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you flick through your phone. You'd be lucky to find the right.
Look at the Sydney Swans. They didn't play last week.
Yes.
The week before.
Yes.
The week before that, they were against the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. So there's 2 weeks. Go back. So their fans hadn't seen them for 3 weeks. They played Carlton on the 17th of May.
And they're playing, 17th
of May. Okay, and then they.
That was their last home game.
Yes, which is what our Fremantle Dockers fans. So
Sydney's last home game was the 17th of May.
That's what I'm just looking at. So 17th of May, I might be wrong here.
I hope you're wrong, mate.
Just look closely. Nick, help me out here. Just bear with us, folks. So the 17th of May, they played Carlton. When was their next home game? Wow. They played the Bulldogs.
Skeeter.
Am I wrong?
You're onto it. No, you're onto it.
Oh, I'm back, baby.
So
when's bye.
And then their home game is this weekend.
So it's no different to what the Swans supporters said.
So
Suddenly you've gone quiet.
So I was about to say, guy, shut up your ass, Skeeter says.
I think I'm right. Look, I understand the frustration, but I don't think it's a discrimination against the Dockers.
I'm with Guy. Got to be honest. I think Guy's right.
I think you're such a tool.
We're done, Skeeter. Shelter FootyCast on socials. Jump on. Remember, the TASSA giveaway. That is shelterfootycast.com.au.
And the code word is... Not saying it.
Oh, well done, Skeeter. You've pulled yourself up. Hope you enjoyed the show. Skeeter's off to have a nap.